Well, heading into WrestleMania 31, I had the big suspicion that the show was going to be forgettable just by looking at the card and just by looking at the overall look and feel of the WrestleMania. You know, I looked at WrestleMania 31 as one of those shows of like a WrestleMania 27. That the card was lackluster and therefore the show was going to be lackluster in itself. Now, this video, even though it's coming in July and WrestleMania was in March, will pretty much give my perspective of WrestleMania 31. And it will pretty much answer the question of, was it a good show? Was it a bad show? Was it a forgettable show? Or was it a great show? I will tell you, first of all, it is not a great show. It is not a forgettable show. It's a good show with a lot of mistakes. Now, I know you're listening to this and you're wondering, well, how can it be a good show if there were a lot of mistakes? Because a lot of what they did during this WrestleMania is going to be memorable, especially considering what happened in the main event, and I will get to that later in the video. A lot of this show is memorable in some way, shape, or form. And, you know, that's how I sum it up. It was a good show with several mistakes. Now, I think that the first two mistakes came right off the bat in the pre-show. You had a 4-way tag match for the WWE Tag Team Championships. And I went back and watched this match a couple of times, and the only question that came to my mind is, why was this not on the main card? You know, even if you put this match first or second, why was this match not on the main card? Sub this match in for the Divas match. Sub this match in for something else. I find it astounding that 7 matches were on a 4-hour show. That's way too little and way too less for a 4-hour show. Because you have 7 matches on the show, the timing is not going to work. Nothing's going to work. It's just going to be inconsistent flow, inconsistent time management, and it's just going to make for a confusing, if not to a terrible show. You could have fit it somehow, considering that the ladder match was 15 minutes, the Rollins-Orton match was like 12 minutes. The Divas match wasn't even 8 minutes. It wasn't even 8 minutes. You know, sub out the concert for this tag match. Sub something out for this tag match, because this tag match was really good. And hell, if you didn't want to put the tag match in, you could have put the Andre the Giant Battle Royal in. Well, let's think of it this way. The match is named after, of all people, Andre the Giant. The match is created by, of all people, Hulk fucking Hogan. And you couldn't put this match on the main card of a WrestleMania. That is a bad thing. Especially if you're going to make this an annual thing. Do you really think people want to see it annually on a goddamn pre-show? Or do you think they want to see it annually at a WrestleMania? Yeah, they should have put it on. But then I looked after the match, and I realized why they didn't put it on. It's because nobody would like it. You know, you could have went so many different directions. You could have went so many different ways. You could have put Mizdow. You could have had Mizdow win this. You know, and then later in the night have a match between Mizdow and The Miz. You could have had Ryback win it as kind of a redemption, kind of return storyline. You could have had somebody like Titus O'Neil win it. You know, maybe that surprise factor in it. But, you know, you have to, for some strange, bizarre reason, you have to give this win to the Big Show. Why? You know, why do you have to pretty much throw this entire match under the bus to give it to the Big Show? Who you consider this question, how the hell does that benefit him? He's done everything in his career that he could. He's a former world champion, former Intercontinental and U.S. champion, a former tag champion, former WWE champion, and you think that the best thing to do is to have him win this match for no fucking reason. If you look back at WrestleMania 30, that would have been different, because it was the inaugural Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal, and he could have did it out of a size thing or a respect thing to Andre the Giant, who, by the way, back in WCW was portrayed as his father, so that could have worked. Something like that could have worked, but in WrestleMania 31, it didn't work. And I was really confused as to why Big Show won this match when they could have went in so many different directions. You have 30 different guys in there that could have won, and you give it to the one guy that I felt like, one of the two guys that I felt like did not need to win this match. The other being Kane. Thank God Kane didn't win this match. Now let's move on to the actual main card. You open up with the ladder match, the 7-way Intercontinental title ladder match, with Bryan, Barrett, Ziggler, Truth, Harper, Ambrose, and Stardust. Ultimately, I knew going into the match who was going to win, and when I left the match, my expectations were met. I knew Daniel Bryan was going to win. There was no way in hell you were going to make the same mistake you've made for 2 straight years of either putting or not putting Daniel Bryan in the Royal Rumble. Because just imagine, if you had somebody like Luke Harper win, or if you had somebody like Stardust win, or if you had somebody stupid like R-Truth win. Imagine the crowd after that. Especially considering that you had 76,000 of them. Oh God, that would be awful. There were already enough empty seats in there. You wanted more? Just have Daniel Bryan lose this match. That's pretty much why I expected him to win this match, because I knew the match was going to open the show, or at least be second. I knew the match was going to at least kind of deliver. Well, that's what I thought. See, I went into this match thinking that it was just going to be a big spectacle of high spots and flips and kicks and jumps and other shit like that. And I left the match really disappointed. The match was not that great. It was definitely not the best ladder match in WrestleMania history. It might have been one of the worst ladder matches in WrestleMania history. And I mean that. It's sad to see that you had so many different opportunities to do so many different things with guys like Ambrose and guys like Ziggler and even guys like R-Truth and Daniel Bryan, or hell, even Stardust. Because those guys are high flyers. Those guys are like cruiserweights. You could have did so many things with them. And the biggest spot of the match was when they did all of those outside moves that didn't even involve a fucking ladder. That's sad. I felt like this match could have gone more to the extreme. I felt like this match, even though everybody was pleased because their guy won, I felt like this match could have been a lot more, and it wasn't a lot more, and it's really sad that it wasn't a lot more, because I had a lot more expected for it. So, that disappointed me. Excuse me. But then the next match came, and once again I was disappointed. It's Randy Orton versus Seth Rollins. And once again, I felt like the right guy won. And once again, I knew going into it that that guy would win. And in a spectacular way, he won the match. With that RKO counter from the curb stomp. I thought that that was a great finish. Now, was it better than the Evan Bourne Shooting Star Press counter? Depends on your way of looking at it. But it's just like the ladder match. I think that this match could have went on longer. I thought that this match could have did something a little more, because it was there. This match was there. It was at the bar, but you need to exceed the bar. And even though that finish did put it a little bit higher on that level, it just wasn't enough. And I went back and looked at this match, and I liked it, but I could have loved it. And they didn't do anything after that to make me love it. I will say one thing, that when I went back and said that this show is going to be memorable, that RKO to end the match is one of the reasons why this show is memorable. Because that spot was really good. That spot was fantastic. I loved it. But I didn't love this match. And I could have loved it, but I didn't. Now, knowing the WWE and their idiotic ways, this storyline has, 15 years? 15 years going on it. And you think the best place on the card to put it is third. And I'm talking about Sting Triple H. In Sting's first ever WWE match, his first ever WrestleMania match, and the first time he's ever faced Triple H. So you think the best place to put him on the card is third. Idiots. Now, should the match have main evented? No. I think the way they did the main event worked a lot better. But, should the match have at least been second to last, maybe even third to last? Yes. I was going over the card, and I said that the first two matches were fine where they were. The third match should have been the U.S. title match. The fourth match could have been the Divas match. Then the fifth match could have been Sting Triple H. The sixth match could have been Bray Taker, and then the seventh match could have been Brock and Reigns. And I would have been fine with that. But why, especially considering, look at their entrances. I mean, Triple H's entrance was probably one of the best I've ever seen. Sting's entrance was probably one of, if not the worst I've ever seen. I'm sorry, the drums were a good idea with a poor execution. If you're going to play his theme song with the drums, can you at least be on point? Can you at least be on tempo? Like, really? It just completely ruined the entrance. I'm sorry. But even if you executed their entrances correctly, it would have looked so much better if it was at night. So I was fine with it going later on the card because of that. Also, it had more importance on the card than the U.S. title match did. To me, it had more importance on the card than Bray and Taker. Because there was no point of Bray and Taker. It was just two guys having a match. There's no point of the U.S. title match. It's the United States Championship. Nothing about it is relevant anymore. Even if you put it on John fucking Cena, it's not relevant anymore. I apologize for that, but it's not. It's just my opinion again. This match has more importance than that, because it is 15 years in the making of the one guy you thought you would never get in your company in Sting, and you decide the best place to put it is third. But once again, the reason why I left this match and loved the fact that they put it third, I actually loved the fact that they put it third, and you know why? It's because of the finish. Now, this match, up until the finish, was going so smoothly, was going so fantastically. I didn't think that they could screw anything up with it. You had D-Generation X come out, which was a nice touch. Then you had the NWO come out, which pretty much set the bar. It set the bar. Once again, you need to raise the bar. You need to be above the bar. You need to drive up and defeat the bar. And the finish happened. And when the finish happened, I just knew that this was Vince's idea. He's still stuck on that mentality that he beat WCW so he can continue to bury it into the ground. Why can't, for sentimental reasons, you give WCW a shot just to win one thing? Just for sentimental reasons. You own it. You have the naming rights to it. So try to make money off of it. You have no problem making money off of ECW. Hell, you brought it back for 4 years. But God forbid, WCW, you try to make at least a little bit of money off of it, and you can't. I looked again on the WWE Network, and still, the first 2 years of Nitro are still the only episodes that are on the network. You can make so much money off of this. It'll bring so many fans back to home. And once again, you don't do it. You have Triple H go over in a cheap way. And that completely just ruined the flow of this match. I will say that the match will be memorable because it is Sting's first WrestleMania match, but it's going to be memorable for all the wrong reasons. I'm sorry, but the wrong guy went over. It's just my opinion. The Divas match. What else can I say about this match? You know, hashtag give Divas a chance sounded good in theory. You didn't even give this match 7 minutes. I said 8 earlier. They barely gave it 7. I mean, come on. This is WrestleMania. At least put it on the pre-show. Like, you know, you can give 20 minutes to the tag match, and you can give like 15 to 20 on the Andre the Giant Battle Royal. You can't even give the Divas 7 minutes. Come on. As far as the match is concerned, they tried. They went out and they did well. It was a pretty decent, solid match, but I didn't care about it. I didn't because all of my energy was focused on the match before that I just didn't care about the Divas match. And I really didn't care about the United States title match. Cena versus Rusev. Because I knew going into it who was going to win. I knew going into it how this guy was going to win. And I knew going into it that this would officially begin Rusev's demise and burial. And I have been right so far. He lost just because he had a year-long winning streak doesn't mean that it's not a burial. It is. You know, he lost at WrestleMania. That wasn't the official burial. Then he lost at Extreme Rules. That kind of lowered him a little bit more. When he lost at Payback, I was like, you know what? This guy's done. And you know what? It's proven that he is done because it seems that the only thing they could do with him is send him at Dolph Ziggler and fucking Summer Rae. I'm sorry, and Lana. And you team him with Summer Rae. So now all of a sudden there's emphasis on the Divas. It's ridiculous. Yeah, he's been buried. And just because he's injured doesn't mean he hasn't been buried. He's been buried. Just saying. This match was alright. Cena pulled out some new stuff, which was fine. Rusev pulled out some new stuff, which was good. I think Rusev's entrance was spectacular. But otherwise, I knew who was going to win. I was kind of disappointed at how he won. But again, it's not really my hill to die on. It's over. Whatever. I really was confused at what happened next when Triple H and Stephanie McMahon were in the ring. Of course, now after, you know, Triple H has once again buried WCW, now he has to go out and gloat about it. You know, after he shook his hand and acted as if nothing happened. You know, and once again, this is an example of throwing one WrestleMania under the bus to promote the next. The first example was WrestleMania 27, when you pretty much got what you were expecting, and that was an announcement that Rock was going to face Cena. Now you get the announcement that Triple H is most likely going to face The Rock at WrestleMania 32. So you pretty much use this segment to throw this show under the bus to promote the show next year. Not a good thing. Focus on the now. Don't focus on the present, the future, excuse me. Wow. I'm going all over the place here. Focus on the present. Focus on what is happening now. It's just my opinion. You know, going into the next match, I was a little iffy about it because going into it, there was really no point of it because the streak had already been conquered. And going into it, I was a little bit sad because I kind of figured that this was going to be one of Undertaker's last matches. And when the match was over, I got even more sad considering how the match went. And that was Undertaker versus Bray Wyatt. The match was awkward. The match was a little bit slow at times. I know Undertaker is old. I know Bray Wyatt was injured. And that's, I guess that's why it was like this. But, the match was just, I didn't particularly like it. I didn't enjoy it. And it kind of hit me hard that one of my favorites over the past 11 years is now going to be gone. Unless they bring him back to face Sting next year, it's pretty much over. It's the end of his era. So the match, I guess they did what they could. They did what they had to do. Some people enjoyed it. I just didn't. Ultimately, the right guy went over. Undertaker should have went over. But what did this really do to help Bray Wyatt? Really, what did it do? And then you get to the main event. And this match was fucking phenomenal. It was awesome. Everything that they needed to do with this match, they did. They had Brock come in and look as dominant as ever. You had Reigns come in with that underdog feel, that underdog mentality, that, you can hit me with your best shot, I'm going to counter and hit you with a better shot. That's the feeling of Roman Reigns during this match. And then you had Seth Rollins come in mid-match, and I'm like, is this going to work? Is it going to work? When you left the card, when you left this match, it fucking worked. And everything in this match clicked like it was supposed to. Everything in this match went well together like it was supposed to. And this match was a fantastic ending to an otherwise iffy and forgettable show. Once again, this match will be memorable because of the build. Even though the build up to it was pissy, build up to it was awful, the match itself was really good. The crowd reaction in the match was really good. The storytelling in the match was really good. The finish involving Seth Rollins was really good, taking advantage of opportunities like he's supposed to do. And the first time ever that somebody has cashed in Money in the Bank at Wrestlemania. The first time somebody has ever cashed in Money in the Bank mid-match. Everything about this match worked tremendously well. And that's why this match is going to be memorable. Now, as far as the show, is this show memorable? No. Despite the fact that the main event is going to be memorable, parts of Sting Triple H is going to be memorable, the entrances from Rusev and Triple H, and even Roman Reigns for that matter, I liked Roman Reigns' entrance, they're going to be memorable. But are you really going to remember the ladder match? Are you really going to remember the Randy Orton versus Seth Rollins match, other than the RKO at the end? Are you going to remember the Divas match? Are you going to remember the fact that the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal and the 4-way tag match were on the pre-show? Even though they were decent, they were on the pre-show. Are you really going to remember the day that Rusev got buried? And are you really going to sit there and happily remember the fact that this is potentially Undertaker's last match? I don't think so. So as far as is this show memorable, I will say no. Once again, it was a good show with several mistakes. Several mistakes. And that's sad considering that this was the WWE's opportunity to prove everybody wrong. To prove that they did pick the right guy, even though the fans didn't think they picked the right guy. This was the opportunity to show the WWE Universe that they can produce a quality show and have it be worthy of a big stadium. And in my opinion, they didn't. And that's particularly sad.